Shalom, shalom. First, I want to give all praise and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem Rakakwadash. And it's the first of the month, you know. Back out here prophesying again to you so-called Negro, Latinos, and Native Americans, so-called, because those are proverbs and bywords that was given to you by your oppressor, man, your master, your enemy, Esau Edom, the so-called white man. So that's why we say so-called, you know. So we're gonna get into it. As you see, Trump move some subs close to Russia, some nuclear subs at that. So Trump is ready to get this world war started. You know, he's the man. Look like he's gonna usher in World War III. That's what it. I mean, we in the midst of World War III now, but I'm talking about having it go full scale military fighting where it's declared. You know, officially declared. Let's get into it now. You know, everybody talking about, oh, you know, they think they know these scriptures, and everybody thinking the Lord coming back to save them. You know, but it ain't that type of party this time to go around, Jake. You know, this sodomite last week was thinking that the Lord is just waiting on him. You know, just because he's defiant, which he's possibly a Jake. You know, but he just thinks the Lord is just waiting, sitting around, just waiting for everybody to get right. That ain't the case. The Lord's only dealing with a small number this time. You know, how about you now? Shout, I don't want everybody. You know, and that's just the truth. He's not looking to deliver or give salvation to everybody. It ain't that type of party that's go around out of you so-called Negro, Latinos, or Native Americans. So Yahweh Shem Shah really don't care if your asses get delivered, man. They got their select number who they coming to get. And Lord willing, I'm of that number. Let's go to Psalms 102. It's one of my, on the list of favorites. This is Psalms 102 and 7. I watch and am as a sparrow alone upon the housetop. Because the sparrow, when he's on top of that housetop, he's chirping, he's singing a song, and he's standing watch. He's standing on top of that housetop. He can see, like they say, he has a bird's eye view of what's going on. And so do the prophets, man. We have a bird's eye view of what's going on in the world, man, and with these prophecies. We know how all this shit's gonna come to an end. How it started, and how it's gonna end, and everything in between, man. So we're, I'm alone right now as a sparrow on the housetop. Not only do I have a bird's eye view, I'm also, singing a song. I'm able to warn you, man, alert you Israelites of the impending doom that's coming to you. But Jake don't pay it no attention. They just wanna, party and bullshit, which is fine with me. But I really don't give a fuck what you niggas do, man. You didn't make the covenant with me. You made the covenant with the Most High, man. That you was gonna follow His law, statute, commandments, man. And I made that same covenant, that oath, that vow. But I was gonna do the law, statute, commandments, man. And here we are. Here I am. I'm trying to uphold it. At least I'm attempting and rehearsing the righteous acts. But you 2/3, you ain't doing nothing. Definitely trying to push this word. It's true. You know, the one who created all this, man, your power, he has a problem with you, you know? And he sent me down here again to tell you niggas he's still mad. He's still upset at you so-called Negro Latinos and Native Americans. You know? Yeah, so reincarnation is real, man. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. I don't know where that comes from, you know. Sometimes, it's kind of like an inside joke, you know. So that's the deal, man. This is a summons, man. You've been summoned to court, you know. And I'm out here, you know, reading the paperwork, man, telling you that, hey, you got a court date, man, and it's almost due, and you ain't got Johnny Cochran this time, man. You know, you ain't got the dream team to bail you out of this trial that's coming up, you know, because at the trial you're gonna get judgment, man. You're gonna get judged, you know, and the ultimate judgment is those thermonuclear ICBM missiles, you know. But JT is gonna snowball into the thermonuclear missiles, man. Market of beast, the economy collapsing, the famines, you know, the pestilence, plagues, all of the above is coming right your way, you so-called Negro, Latinos, and Native Americans. You know? And I'm down here to tell you what your judgment gonna be if you don't want to get right. And I'm also to tell you what's gonna happen to you if you know that you want to get right with Yahweh Shem Yahushua. According to the scriptures, you know, I'm not up here gonna wing this. I'm gonna tell you what the scriptures want, man. What Yahweh Shem Yahushua want, man. You know, I'm flowing from the survival scroll, man. Inside joke. You know, I'm flowing from the inside. What I'm talking about, it's like it. I'm flowing from the survival scroll. You know, but Jake say, hey man, they don't want to hear it. They want to hear some new podcast, some goofy nigga in his basement with a headset on, thinking he knows something. You know, that's what you want to hear from. You want to hear from some goofball on a podcast, man. He ain't even got his shit together, and he trying to give you advice. You know, but he got a million lemons, you know, on his channel. Subscribe to him, and you think he's in the know. You know, the scriptures speak about, you know, if a rich man was up here speaking, you know, everybody be out here with their pencils and notebooks and pads and everything, man, out here taking down notes. You know, roughly paraphrasing, you know, it'll be a line from here to damn Canal Street. You know, if Jay-Z or Beyonce was up here, it'll be a riot out here every week. But the Lord ain't dealing with that. The Lord dealing with the lowly and the meek. You know, this is the biggest test right here. You just got somebody like myself, supposedly out of nowhere, not on TV. You know, I don't have a big following. You know, not known in the streets per se. You know, and you walk by every day, and you just like, oh, that guy ain't talking about that. Now look at him. He's crazy, man. But you go home and turn on Creflo Dollar and what's his name, Kenneth Copeland. Turn them on. They jumping around in suits and so-called speaking in tongues. And you think the Lord dealing with them because they got wealth, man. But that ain't the case though. The Lord ain't dealing with that either, man. The Most High don't deal in buildings made with bricks, man. You got to be out on these highways and these byways in these people's face with the drug addicts, the killers, the murderers, you know, the degenerates, any and everything out here, man. You got to be out here in the midst of it, you know. You can't be in some nice fancy building and you got a damn security team and usher board to protect your ass. You got to be out here amongst the people, man, in the people face. I don't have a security team with me, you know? And I say some what they call very controversial things up here. You know, I'm not ducking and hiding, but the pastor is. He got the usher board and the deacon board to protect his ass. Because he's not a real man of the Lord, man. See me, and not just me, like-minded men who the Spirit is dealing with. We know the angels encamp about us, man. So we don't fear what you people got to say or do to me, man. I look as if I'm alone up here, but I'm not. The one who created the heaven and the earth knows exactly where I'm at and know what I'm doing. And he has someone watching over me. So that's why I'm bold as a lion up here. Not giving a damn what you people say or what you think. I come out here to do a job and I'm gonna do it. Let's go on. In Matthew 11:17 it says, and saying, we have piped unto you, and you have not danced. We have mourned unto you, and ye have not lamented. Yeah, we have piped unto you, and you not dancing to the tune of Yahweh Shemi Awashah, man. You're not dancing to the tune of this truth. I'm up here singing a song, really, and there's only a few that can get it. When people walk by, this sounds like, like I'm just nails on a chalkboard, man. A bunch of, beating a bunch of pots and pans. It sounds out of, unordinary, out of the ordinary. It sounds like it's like a madman babbling. I might as well be sounding like who was it? Charlie Brown's teacher, man. That's what it sounds like to the non-elect. But the elect is gonna hear this truth, and they gonna hear this tune and be like, oh man, that tune sounds familiar, man. I heard this song somewhere before. And that's how it got me. When I was first getting into this truth, I heard the scriptures plenty of times, man. I've been to church so many times, Sunday school, morning service, afternoon service, be at church all day, Bible study. I mean, I would listen to it, but it didn't do nothing for me though, man. It kind of gasses you up a little bit, but eventually the steam runs out, man. The fumes. But, years passed by. You know, I stopped going to church. You know, so you try different churches. You know, it's the same old, same old. But needless to say, the Spirit had me just get out of the church altogether. You know, so I wandered around playing in the world, as Jake do. You know, being wicked. You know, so that's I did my thing while I was in the world. But then, you know, I was in Egyptology. You know, I was playing all these different songs, man. You know, but I kept changing it, looking for the right song. You know, so then I remember the first video I ever saw was an ISUPK video. First video I ever saw about the truth. You know, that's when I was in that Egyptology heavy. And then I heard this one brother, I forget his name, at the ISUPK. I think it starts with an M. You know, he was bringing the word out. And, you know, and to hear Jake, you know, with a true deep voice, you know, with some authority speaking, I was like, damn. You know, he caught my attention. You know, he caught my attention. You know, so you know, you get curious about something, so you look for another video. You're watching more and more videos, and eventually you run into the right one. You know, and that's exactly what happened when I saw the brothers on World Star Hip Hop out of San Fran. You know, I was like, man, that's the part of the Bible I was missing right there. You know, I wasn't with that soft turn the other cheek bullshit, man. You know, it just didn't resonate in my spirit to be a damn pushover. You know, how they was going in rebuking, you know, and getting these damn people faces, man. You know, because they were standing tall for Yahweh Shemi Awashai. And I was like, I knew it had to be something. And sure enough, fast forward to that, you know, I'm jumping around. You know, I'm jumping around. But, you know, it took some time to get to this point. You know, but when I started hearing that song, you know, ISUPK, they had a little bit of the song. So they was piping a little bit. You know, I was like, oh, you know, that tune sounds familiar. You know, that beat sounds familiar. But I didn't get the real song until I got to, you know, the Brothers Page in San Fran. You know, and that's when everything started coming together. And the rest was history, as they say. You know, 8 years later, here I am, man. Still singing the same song and playing the same song, man. You know, this song doesn't change, man. You can't remix this Bible, man. Like, you know, some people in this truth does, man. You know, they remix this thing, try to keep it fresh, entertaining. But it ain't that type of party, man. You got to keep going over the same song, man. The same lyrics over and over and over and over. Yeah, you know, Jake might change up the terminology a little bit, you know, put a little, you know, a little slang to it, what's going on. But as far as the doctrine go, it's the same, man. You know, it's the same breakdowns. You know, the breakdowns ain't changing. You know, we're not changing up this song. You know, so it says we have piped unto you. And matter of fact, let's get it again. It's Matthew 11:17. It says, and saying we have piped unto you, and ye have not danced. Yeah, you ain't dancing. You know, you ain't dancing to the tune of Yahweh Shemi Awashai, man. You know, you still dancing to Beyonce and Chris Brown, man. You know, which is nothing wrong with that. But you think that's the only song out there, man. That song is not gonna get your ass delivered, you know. Jumping up and down and sweating, you know. break dancing and shit. I don't know what kind of dancing they doing these days. That's how far I am out of touch with the world. You know, I don't know what kind of dance they got going on these days. You know, but you ain't dancing to the tune of this song that's coming out of this Bible, and that is the main song you need in order to be delivered out of this hellhole, man. In order to obtain salvation, Jay. You know. So, but you can keep on dancing to whoever the hottest artist is per se, and see how that turns out for you. You're in Jacob's trouble, man. Because we're going full steam ahead into this new digital age. You know, you're going to be tracked, surveilled, traced at all given times, man. You know, they calling them wearables. You know, they want to know where the hell you going and where the hell you been. The digital currencies online, the stable coins, they're all coming online, man, which is going to lead to the mark of the beast, RFID microchip. And that's part of the song, man. The RFID microchip, the mark of the beast, is in the song. It's part of the lyrics. And you so-called Negro Latinos and Native Americans have a hard time believing that. The majority, y'all. It's a few. And I'm not talking about the hopefully elect or the elect. I'm talking about Jake that's still 1 foot in and 1 foot out. They kind of know that the mark of the beast is the RFID microchip. But they really don't believe it. I was once there before, man. I knew about the RFID microchip, and how the bankers plan to chip everybody, but, I thought that'd be 50 to 100 years down the road. But lo and behold, it's here already. The brain chips. Talk about that mark going in your forehead. I think I read a post from a brother. He was saying how Elon already implanted 2 people with the brain chip like a week or 2 ago, man. So this beast system is on the move. It's on the move, man. And that's what we're telling you in this song, man. That your ass needs to hurry up and turn to your Abba Shimi Awashab before it's too late, Jake. Before it's way too late, because your grace period is about to run out. Like you talk about that guy, or that. Let's just call him a guy. He's searching for the answers. But you got a major demon on you first, man. You got to get rid of that first. You got a filthy, evil spirit on you, man. A disgusting spirit. You got to tackle that first. And no, the Most High is not looking for no mites, no momos to push his truth, man. You got to get that demon off of you in order to push this work. Lord ain't dealing with no moles, man. It says, we have mourned unto you, and ye have not lamented. So yeah, man, we telling you, man, the Lord's gonna fucking destroy you, so-called Negro Latinos and Native Americans. Gonna put you to death. You like the day of the Lord is darkness and gloominess, man. It's gonna be a terrible day, and you ain't even got a tear in your eye, man. When you first come to this truth, you get a bit of a sorrow spirit, man. Like, man, your people, they ain't waking up. You're trying to wake everybody up. You know, like y'all ass is gonna get nuked. You know, you're like, man, you go out, everybody you see is pretty much dead around you, man. You know, they're gonna be nuked to a nuclear crisp. You know, you go in these stores and see all these people, and you're like, man, you're probably the only one that's gonna make it out of this. You know, so you get that spirit, sorrow spirit in the beginning. But then after a while, a few years in this, you're like, fuck that. Jesus. Hope they asses get nuked, man. That's what we start saying after a while. Man. Now, I'm in that spirit now. I'm like, these nukes can't come fast enough. You know? Can't wait till this place is nuked to the ground, man. So there's nothing standing. You know, because there's nothing but wickedness here, man. Nothing but unrighteousness, wickedness. Man, and we ready for something new, man. The man of the Lord living for something entirely different. You know, we're not bound to Babylon. You know, we're not bound to Babylon, man. We want to get the hell out of here. You know, like Malcolm said, by any means necessary. Man. If it takes all of y'all getting nuked for the elect to be delivered, then that's a small price to pay, man. That's a small price. You know? You know? Let the Lord go forth with his will, man. That's his will, so be it. I'm not gonna feel no way about it. You know, I'm not gonna shed a tear. Hmm? Revelation 14:1. And I looked, and lo, a lamb stood on the Mount Zion, and with him 144,000, having his father's name written in their foreheads. And that name is Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. That's written in their foreheads, man. Not no Yahuwah, Yah, Yahushua, you know. None of that shit, man. Name is Yahweh. Son named Yahweh Shah. And that's who the 144,000 had the name, man. You know, like I said, I hope I'm up that number. And that out of that 144,000, man, they all men. There's no women in that 144,000. There's gonna be women and children in the elect, the pool of the elect. But as far as the 144,000, that's gonna be having the names of Yahweh Shem Yahweh and their foreheads written this 14:1. It's all men. You know, it's all men. Verse 2. And I heard a voice from heaven as the voice of many waters, and as the voice of a great thunder. And I heard the voice of harpers harping with their harps. Verse 3. And they sung as it were a new song before the throne, before the four beasts, the four angels, and the elders. And no man could learn that song but the 144,000 which were redeemed from the earth. So the 144,000, you know, they got the song, man. You know, they know the whole song. You know, they got all the lyrics, man. Or they read the lyrics before, and they heard it. They know how it goes. You know, and they believe that is the song important, because you have to believe that this is the true song, man. You know, there's no, you take a cut lyrics from this group, get some more lyrics from that group, and three other groups. Now you put this song together. No, it's only one song, man. And 144,000 got that one song. You know, it had somebody has to have the true song, man. You know, if you got a bunch of wrong ones, somebody has to have the right one, and that's just how it goes, man. It has to be that would be a false weight, an unjust weight. You know, if there's some false ones, there's got to be a true one out there, man. And I'm pushing that true one, man. That truth. So that goes to show you, man, the Lord ain't dealing with everybody this time around. You know, and the 144,000 are gonna be the governing body of the kingdom of heaven, man. They're gonna be the government, pretty much, man. The running government. You know how you got your military and your police officers out, right? They're gonna be the same setup in the kingdom, man. You're gonna have somebody over you, man, in the kingdom of heaven too. And the 144,000 is gonna be over the rest of Israel, man. You know, you're gonna have the 144,000, the 1/3, and the rest of you Israelites. You're going to be, you won't need to be, but you're gonna have somebody over you, man. Like they said, it's levels to this thing. There's levels to everything, man. And I said, Lord willing, I'm of that number, that 144,000. You know, we're gonna be those enforcers, man, on the planet. You know, enforcing the law, because the heathen is not gonna have the law, man. Now, they're gonna have to, do the law, but the covenant wasn't given to them, man. The new covenant, where the laws is gonna be in your inward parts. That was only promised to Israel, so-called Negro, Latinos, and Native Americans. Now, the heathen's gonna have to do the law, but they're gonna get out of line. You know, they're gonna get out of line. They ain't gonna want to do the law. They're gonna want to revert back to eating pork. All these abominable creatures, unclean creatures. And then you're gonna have the 144,000, man, enforcing that, man. Saying, no, you ain't eating that pig, man. Or you ain't eating shrimp today. Or tomorrow. Or period, man. You're gonna have someone over you. And if you don't want to do the law, then we got laws to take care of that, man. If you don't want to listen to the law, then, hey, just like you get punished in America, you're gonna get punished in the kingdom of heaven, man. Or any other country. If you break the law, hey, you got to pay for it. Just that simple. You got to pay the price. So it's gonna be beautiful, man. Like I told that guy last week, I said, if you come from the side, I gotta read you the law. You're not gonna come by me and me not give you the law. And when I read him the law, it just struck him. You're like, oh, yeah. You might be upheld in the society in your death style. But as far as me, I'm not gonna give you no respect to persons, man. I'm gonna read you the law. Thus says Yahweh Shemi Awashah, man. when I'm out here on this block, or anywhere else, man. I'm gonna give you the law some type of way. You understand what I'm saying? Salaki, being disturbed, yeah, through the spirit. There's a disturbance in the spirit, man. Look at this. Okay, they got it together. I'm about to say, you can't bag it. I'm about to revoke your license. Anyway, so yeah, Lord willing, I'm at the 144,000, and I'm gonna do the bidding of whatever the commandment, whatever the order is, man. With no problem. Whatever Yahweh Shah sends down to King David, to the 144,000, where you got the 12. So like you got Yahweh Shah, King David, the elders, the 12, and then the 144,000, man. Whatever the order comes down from there, I'm gonna be with it. If you gotta flatten your village, I'm all for it. You know, we gotta whip you into shape, so to speak. I'm gonna be all for it, man. And if the order is putting you to death, then we'll be all for it, man. The Lord's gonna be executed in the kingdom, man. You're not gonna sit on death row for 30, 40 years in the kingdom. You break the law, you're gonna get a very speedy trial, man. It's gonna be on spot, man. You're gonna know your judgment before you leave. You know? 'Cause we ain't building all these prisons in the kingdom, man. And you just sitting there 20, 30 years getting fat, working out every day, you know, trying to break out. Nah, you ain't gonna have, where you keep writing to your attorney, trying to get your shit appealed, man. You're trying to get clemency. Whatever the law and the scriptures say, the law, statute, commandments say, that's how we gonna deal with you. Not gonna be any constitutions and or any kind of democratic process in the kingdom. It's gonna be what comes out of this Bible, and that's it. If you don't like it, hey, you got ways to deal with it, man. You got ways to deal with it. It ain't up for debate either. You ain't gonna be able to call your local senator, or get a petition going, man, to get you out of your judgment. Like we're gonna pull up the roll, gonna pull up the scripture, like they did on Planet Apes, pull up the scroll, such and such. We're gonna pull out the scroll, I'm gonna read you the law, and we're gonna tell you what you're supposed to be, done with or handled in this situation, and we're gonna deal with you accordingly. according to the law. You know, finally some real justice, man. You ain't gonna be able to pay anybody off in the kingdom. You know, my dad's related to such and such. You know, my mom, donated to such and such, and she's on this foundation. None of that, man. You don't come out of this line of people, you got no rights, man. You know, it's gonna be the nation of Israel ruling, and everybody else serving, man. Everybody else is gonna serve, for 1,000 years, man. And after the 1,000 years, some of y'all gonna be able to go to your own lands, man. But a certain group ain't gonna make it after that 1,000 years, man. But the rest of y'all gonna be able to go to your own land, man, and build your own lands up. You still gonna be governed by the law coming out the Bible, but you're gonna be able to lead a plantation, though, man. Let's get Colossians 3:12. So yeah, Colossians 3:12. Put on, therefore, as the elect of the Most High. So that's what I do, man. I put on as the elect. You know, that's what I'm pretending to. Well, that's what I want to be. So I'm pretending to be like an elect. You know, that's what I desire to be. So I have to put on as one. Holy and beloved, vows of mercies, kindness, humbleness of mind, meekness, long suffering. Yeah, and that's with a brother, man. That's in this truth. And your people, to a certain extent, my people. You show a little bit of mercy and kindness to them. But you gotta let them know, man. It's strictly business, though. And but mainly to your brother, man, who's doing the will of the Father, man. Show mercy and kindness, man. Like you show more than what you would normally show somebody. You know, you go over and beyond with a brother. You know, a brother low on money, you give him money, man. He needs somewhere to stay, you give him a room to stay. If you're able to do it, need something to eat, you feed him. Needs clothes, you give him raiment, man. Whatever the brother need, man, you give it to him. You know. I'm talking about a like-minded man of the Lord. Somebody doing the same thing I'm doing. But like I say, with our people, I give charity here and there. The scriptures do speak about giving charity, so we do still have to give charity, man. The spirit gets on me to give, so I give. You know. So, but the elect, you got to put on as the elect, man. And the elect is going to take care of their brother. And it might not be. It ain't just all about money all the time, man. The brother might need some words of encouragement, man. He might need a pick me up. You know, devil been riding his back all day at work. You know, who knows? You know, probably got fired. You know, going through something at the house. You know, with his woman or something. So you deal with your brother, man, with the scriptures. You know, and you know, you just tell him what the deal is, man, and you just be there for it, brother. So yeah, you go over and beyond to help a man of the Lord. Everybody else, you know, you just do what you can do, man. But a man of the Lord, you go all out. Let's go to Second Timothy, man. The Second Timothy 2:10. Therefore, I endure all things for the elect's sake, that they may also obtain the salvation which is in Yahushua Hamashiach with eternal glory. So like I read that backwards. In Yahushua, Yahushua. So yeah, you gotta endure all things for the elect's sakes, man. And even coming out here, man, doing this for the elect's sake, you know, whether it's hey, it's raining, it's cold, heat, whatever the case may be, man. Sick, you still gotta come out. You know, being sick is not an excuse for not doing the work. You know, you go on the plantation sick, you gotta work for the Lord sick too, man. You know, and I've done that plenty of times, man. You know, so you gotta put on and do this for the elect, man. You know, you gotta feed the Lord's sheep. You know, that's one thing when you get into this truth, it ain't about you no more, man. You know, it's about the will of Yahweh by Shimi Abashah, man. It's what they want done. You know, if they want your ass to come out here and sweat bullets, and you gotta come out here and sweat bullets, man. You got to freeze in the winter. You just gotta freeze in the winter. You know, the scriptures speak about how this is a small affliction, man. This is a light affliction. What we got to go through right now. Yeah, the big stuff is coming, but right now, you know, if it's hot, I can get under a tree, get some shade. You know, if it's cold, I can get a thicker jacket, bigger jacket. You know, we got all kind of heat tech going on now. You know, so come out here for the elect sake, man. Doing the will of Yahweh Shimi Yahushua. You know, and then you're gonna be all right. The Lord's gonna look out for you, bro. You know, and it's just that simple. Even when you don't feel like coming out here, man, I come. You know, some days you just want to leave work and go straight home. Some weeks, I just want to stay on that damn interstate and go straight to the house. But like I said before, man, it ain't about me. You know, I've been on the plantation 9 hours a day. Come out to the block, you know, and push this word, man. You know, and that's what it's all about, man. At the end of the day, pushing this truth. You know, I don't need to do much, man. Doing this work gives me enough excitement. You know, just this hour or two gives me enough excitement for the week. You know, so I don't have to go out looking for thrills and shit. Before I had to be any and everywhere, but now, especially if I get into it with somebody out here, man, oh, I'm good for the week. You know, yeah, I don't even have to go. I don't even have to go much now. I can just do the work. Hit the plantation, come out here and push this truth and go home, and I'm good. I don't have to be out here looking for anything other than this truth, man. That's all I'm looking for, man. Looking to push this work, looking for a video to sit down to do, and getting another lesson going. And that's just what it is. I'm gonna get a couple more. I'm probably gonna get on out of here. Second John 1:1. The elder unto the elect lady and her children, whom I love in the truth, and not I only, but also all they that have known the truth. Yeah, so there's gonna be women that are part of the elect that get delivered. It says, and her children. Because, say for instance, I am delivered. Whoever is an Israelite, man, is going to get delivered, man, with me. So there's a lot riding on me, you know? There's a lot on my shoulders to keep doing this truth, keep pushing this word, man. Keep coming out here on the highways and byways. Not only to deliver me, but members of my family also. So there's a lot riding on me. So that's why I got to keep pushing. Keep hanging on and not losing patience, man. Yeah, it gets repetitive, playing the same song, but hey, the songs still sound good though. You listen to that trash rap all the time. They play the same song. Matter of fact, they play the same damn song all day long, every hour on the hour. And you can listen to that shit, you know? So playing this song week in, week out, a couple times, a few times during the week, and come out here and camp, give you the full song, throughout the week. I'm giving you a couple minute tracks here and there, of the song. But Friday, which is my normal camp day, I give you the full song out here. You know, sometimes I hit all the points. Sometimes I don't, man. But you're gonna get the full song up here. Come up here and answer the question, and it's gonna be the true song too, man. You can take that to the bank, man. So, yeah, man. I think I'm gonna go ahead and get on out of here, bro. It's getting kind of dark. I saw a mosquito lurking around here somewhere. Oh no, yeah, you gotta come out here and get stung by the mosquitoes too, Jake. You know? So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and close it out with that, man. But before I get out of here, I'm gonna give all praise and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Kakadash. And hang on, man. We almost out of here. We almost out of here. You know, we almost out this bitch. Shalom.